said. Listen to it. Just a little bit. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Miami Miles. My name's Mickey. With me, I've got John from Soul Performance. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
And behind us, the 992.2 base Carrera. If you guys saw the last video, I compared this car stock against the 992.1 with John's full setup and the M Engineering tune. And to be honest with you, this car did not do anything for me.
Yep.
It was a complete disappointment. And I feel bad for any of you that have one of these in its stock configuration. But today, these guys have tinkered with the entire exhaust. And this is the world's first 992.2 Carrera with cats and the rear section, correct?
You got it. Yep.
So before we go for a drive and really show them what it's all about and see if I actually like it, what do you guys do?
Well, these cars are significantly more restrictive than the 992.1s. They have monitored particulate filter assemblies in the cats. So you essentially have a second more restrictive cats right after the primary cats in the midsection of this car, right after the turbos. So unfortunately, these cars are so locked down with torque limiters on a dyno at wide open throttle, you can see the power wants to go, and then it just shuts it down at wide open throttle. So the only real way to quantify an improvement to the driving experience and to the performance improvements and responsiveness of an exhaust change on this car is to just drive it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drive it, and we're gonna see how it feels versus the initial driving experience that Mickey had earlier.
Okay, and then what do we do with the exhaust? What's installed here?
So we've got a set of high flow cats to a non-valve rear muffler replacement. We call this our performance exhaust system that's well loved by the 992.1 Carrera guys. We've modified the fitment in order to fit on this. We've worked with the particulate monitoring system so we don't throw a check engine light onto the car. And it is from a no CEL full system replacement, this is as transformational as it's gonna get, yet reasonable because of the design for low RPM cruising speeds.
So overall, I think something actually important for them to know is that you mentioned it is a completely different design than the .1, correct?
Oh yeah. The 992.2 platform is not a rollover on most of the exhaust components compared to 992.1. While the manifolds are the same going to the turbos, after the turbos, everything is different. These now catalytic converter assemblies have monitored particulate filter assemblies after the primary cats via pressure lines here and here. Because of their size, they interfere with what would be the 992.1 outlet pipe routing. So they redesigned the muffler in terms of its fitment and the tip outlets in order to go past these big added particulate filters that you have on the car. The manifolds are the same fitment going from the engine to the turbos. After the turbos, while the cats share the same A to B point from turbo to muffler, everything in between is different. You have actual pressure lines monitoring particulate filters right after the primary cats in the same assembly. And then unfortunately, while we would love to have a rollover for the .1 muffler fitment, the outlet pipes are unfortunately completely different in how they route to the bumper. So you can't take anything from a muffler and put it on here. You can't take any cats from an old generation car because of the particulate monitoring and put it on either. So Section 2, the cats, and Section 3, the muffler, are all bespoke to the 992.2 platform.
And before we go for a drive, I mean, I just want to get, you own one.
Yeah.
I know, like me, like you mentioned, you're not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But please, explain to them why, because I don't think they believe me. Why is this car stock so bad? I mean, it's not a bad car. I don't want to say it's a bad car. It's a great car. It's a terrible 911. And I think you're going to be able to convey why a little better than me.
These cars have been getting progressively more and more refined. over the years. And that seems to be the direction that Porsche is going with this, standard 911 models. It's just more refinement, more refinement, more refinement. But I don't like refinement. I don't like perfection. I want something that's more raw and visceral. And every single time a car comes out, it loses, for me, little bit of that X factor more and more. It's becoming quieter in the cabin. It's becoming smoother of a ride quality. And it's like, great touring car, no problem driving cross country and not getting wore out. That's great. But I want something to kick my ass.
Yeah, me too.
This doesn't kick my ass.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. Well, let's go drive it with the full exhaust setup. I think it's first one in the world, right?
As far as I'm aware, this is the first base model with an exhaust on it in the world.
All right, let's see if that fixes it.
Okay.
All right, see you guys in the car. 992.2, drive number 2. I was very disappointed with the stock drive.
Yeah.
But
as were we all that have had these cars so far.
But right away though.
Yeah. You haven't gone far and it makes a bit of a difference.
You can hear the turbo whistle. Put it in manual here. Much better, dude.
Yep.
You got a smile out of me.
When you uncork that exhaust, and you get a little character back into a car that, to me, has been starting to lose it over time, it's a lot more engaging.
I mean, it makes a drastic difference because by this light stock, I hated it.
Yeah.
And that's a strong word because you get into 911 and you're just expecting to fall in love. You're expecting some level of fizz and connection to the car, and I just felt disconnected right away.
My biggest gripe on top of that was when I hit the gas, it felt corked. Like it felt like it was pushed, like it was just kind of holding back, like it just wanted to breathe, almost like it was asthmatic. It's a little tough to describe. It wasn't like it was responding well to what my inputs were. Take wide open throttle out of the equation and just talk about like every driving, I'm trying to pass someone a little bit more throttle on highway or something along those lines. It just wasn't very peppy.
So right here, you can definitely feel it right there.
Yep.
How much more responsive, as long as you're not going full throttle, that's where you feel it.
Yep.
But the more it climbs up the RPM range, it just dies.
Yeah.
It just goes flat.
Right as you hit that torque limiter at like super hard throttle, it starts to pull it back over what it could be. And you can see it on the dyno.
Let's do that. Yeah, nothing.
Yep.
It's just flat.
Yep.
Now, it's not to say it's a slow car. It's not slow, but also it's not what you expect from, I think this car's option is over $150,000.
Yeah.
And that's what I said in my previous video. We could buy for $150, and at the end of that video, I concluded that it was better to buy a 992.1 and be able to throw software in addition to the exhaust package.
Yeah.
But I think for the purposes of this video, the 992.2, the chassis feels a bit more taut, but it also feels much more refined. Like I'm completely isolated from everything.
Yeah.
You can't even hear anything outside of here.
It's really good, but
right here, this is where the car's good. Partial throttle, 5,000 RPM upshift.
Yeah.
Downshift.
Yeah.
And the sound is
yeah. It's got that engagement factor back. At least to the point where you're like, oh, okay, I'm excited a bit now. Like, let's go have some fun. Would I still buy a $150,000 on average base model versus, a 992.1 base or even an S or something like that, and put a little bit of money into it? I think those cars are a little bit more fun than a .2, personally.
Well, you said like the S 992.1 makes how much power? 500 wheel?
At a minimum, because the 992.1s and the GTSs share the exact same turbos.
Okay.
Only the GTS is tuned up a little more from factory, so your ultimate performance potential out of one of those cars is the same between S and GTS, so why would you buy a GTS? Just buy an S and then mod it. But, you know, that's for the guys that want that top end. I still like the base and the T models because they're so much more responsive with the smaller turbos that drive around town. I think they're a better driver's car versus a better highway passing, let's go, you know, play with people and, you know, see who's got some 60 to 130 times, you know.
What's crazy is you feel the responsiveness and the turbos start to build.
Yeah.
And about 60% throttle, it just dies.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you could get a linear pull.
Yeah.
You get nothing. There's nothing
right there.
there.
Yep. Yep. You feel it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, it just dies.
Yep, it does. And then, when we're on the dyno, when we're doing these pulls, you know, we did the baseline, and we put the exhaust on, and right away, you can see immediately the power starts to shoot up over stock.
Yep.
And then right at like 35 or just shy of 3,500 RPM, you see the ECU software just go and just push it right back down to the stock power curve again. We're just like, oh.
Yeah, but imagine that with no sound, which is what this car is stock.
Yeah.
Whereas here, at least, you can do this. That sounds unbelievable.
Yeah. You keep it around that, like, you know, 50 to 75% throttle, where it's more responsive and fun. That's where it's at.
It sounds a lot better, and to me, you actually made it so I could envision myself, if I had no other options at this price point, buying one.
Yeah.
Right? So I think these are two separate questions. Does the exhaust enhance the experience? And without a doubt, it's a resounding yes.
Yep.
The sound, the character, the burbles, the pops, everything added by the exhaust makes the car, to me, something that I would actually drive.
Yeah.
Then there's a second question. Would I buy this car? And the answer is no. Absolutely not. But then you look at the 992.1, and my answer to that car, even when I drove it stock, is for 100,000.
Yeah.
I could imagine myself buying one.
Yeah.
And with your mods, my mind was blown. And that's what you guys need to like understand. Like, if you're getting into one of these cars, don't get one because you think that it's gonna be your, you know, I'm gonna jump in this car at midnight and go for a blast car. It's not that. It's I'm gonna get you from point A to point B, and you're gonna hear this sound once in a while, but then the torque dies. I mean, it's not slow, but it's not fast either.
And this is why this is such a subjective thing, right? Like, I know Porsche's target market of who has been buying Porsches their whole lives would love something like this, but we're more enthusiast driven. And it's, you know, as a enthusiast driver, I mean, I like to beat the crap out of my cars, seriously. And when I do, you know, I don't like the car slowing my roll.
That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say this car doesn't have more grip than the 992.1. It's probably runs around every track faster than 992.1.
I have no doubt about it.
I have no doubt.
The suspension's definitely more sophisticated.
It's definitely more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But I just don't like it as much.
Yeah.
And especially when you factor in the price and this fucking dash.
Yeah.
And I just don't want it.
Yep.
I just don't want it. That being said, listen to it. That's spectacular.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
I mean,
I'm a little biased.
you're
But, you know,
I mean,
it's not this like dull vacuum that it was before.
that's what I hated. I got in this car and I said, it's a Taycan playing a flat six sound through a speaker. That's it. And now it at least sounds like a Porsche, but all of the other characteristics still make it a little bit too dull for my taste. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you guys have done something magical by being able to put an exhaust on this car, which is pretty much impossible due to the monitor particulate filter, the cats, everything that this car has to do for European emission standards. That's magical. Like, for those of you that have it, you have to get an exhaust, because otherwise you're just driving a car that's fucking soulless.
It's tough to really, pile on, because, I want to say much more nicer things about the .2 platform, but, coming from, the days of, owning a Cayman R and, just driving it to and from the track and beating the ever-living piss out of that car, it's hard for me. This is probably like, I would drive cross-country in the most comfort of any 911 I've ever felt driving this car. I have no doubt about that at all. I mean, it is just smooth. It is comfortable.
Well, why not just buy an S-Class then? Right?
Yeah. I've never driven an S-Class. Well, at least not in a long time, so, who am I to compare? But, it's, yeah.
It does the same thing.
If it does the same thing but better, I couldn't tell you.
It does the same thing, and the thing is like, I don't know, I really hate to, like, every video you guys have ever seen of me getting in a car is me praising the car and absolutely falling in love with it. Until this exhaust was on it, I would have given this car, as a 911, probably a 4 or 5 out of 10. Now at least we shifted a little. It's like a 7, 6 or 7.
I'll take any incremental gains. Oh, that sounds great to me.
And when you can get software,
oh my God, it's gonna be so insane.
There we go.
Yeah, the power is gonna be there. It's like, I'll still miss some of the more rawness of the previous generations. That's just, we're similar in that regards. But like when that torque limitation's not there, and then we can have a graph pop up here right now, because Charles actually overlaid a 992.1 tuned GTS, which is the same drivetrain as this, but corked. So you can see that gain when the turbos start to hit. It's like 250 torque over this baseline.
Wow.
So if you just look at what the previous generation with these turbos could do versus what the baseline on this car is, software is going to be the game, man. As soon as the software is able to get put onto this car, it's going to be an absolute rocket. It won't be the same car anymore. At least from that, power and responsiveness that you can feel it wants to have, but it's just getting pushed down. At least we've got something more on, partial throttle inputs out of the exhaust, so it's a little bit more lively and responsive. But, if you're looking for 0 to 60 or 60 to 130 wide open throttle improvements, you're not going to get that until software's out of this car.
Yeah, and I think that'll add the speed obviously is going to add a little more fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll be able to program in some more burbles and pops and stuff like we saw in the 992.1. Yeah. But overall, really good car.
Yeah.
Amazing car as a car. Really bad 911. Made better by a Soul Performance exhaust. And this is not a shout out.
Happy to help.
He's not paying me. I know I keep saying this. We're friends. He wanted me to try the car out and tell you guys what I thought. If you have one of these, please go put an exhaust on it, so at least you can get some character back into this car.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the end of the video. I got nothing else to say. All we could do is put the windows down, do a little